going first. I'm Missy. I am one of the co-hosts of Fake Geek Girls. I use she, her pronouns.
And I'm Mary. I'm the other co-host, and I also use she, her pronouns.
And we will let the fine folks of Femsplained introduce themselves.
Oh, hi. I'm Diana. I'm one half of Femsplained. And
I am Avalon, and I'm the other half of Femsplained podcast.
Amazing. And how about Girls Can't Geek?
Oh, what's good? Everybody knows I'm Bunny Mike Game You, and I am half of, well, I'm actually a fourth of the Girls Can't Geek now.
We've expanded.
Ooh, nice.
Exciting.
And I'm SD Trinity. Hi, everybody. The other 1/4 of Girls Can't Geek now.
Thank
Awesome.
you. So just as I would just like to do like a little introduction to all of our podcasts for if people haven't heard them before. Mary and I again do Fake Geek Girls podcast looking at nerdy pop culture from a fan and critical perspective, encouraging the things we love to do better. There's the whole tagline. And that basically just means taking our favorite pop culture things and diving into them as academically as two people who are not professional academics can do. So tell us a little bit about Femsplained.
sure, yeah. Femsplained's, our definition of Femsplained has gone through some like evolutions over the years. I think currently how we describe it is a place for femme nerds to talk about nerdy stuff where no one can interrupt them or quiz them. Would you agree? Is that that's where
I think that we have finally whittled it down to that really concise, like, this is
Yeah.
where we're taking up space.
Yeah.
You don't even have to be here if you don't want to.
In fact, go.
Love it. And please tell us a little bit about Girls Can't Geek.
Well, I'll go first. Girls Can't Geek started out as satire. You know, when they say white men can't jump, but you know you can, right? And so it started out satirical and it turned into a community. We've blossomed into an enormous community. The queendom of Girls Can't Geek is a land where we all take shapes, different shapes, and we all hold space in an effort to take our swords out and slay the gatekeepers of the nerd and blurred community. Blurred meaning Black and brown nerds.
Nice.
Awesome.
What she said.
Love it. Good. So my first question for everybody is, what is geek culture to you and why talk about it? Let's go with SD Trinity. You want to give us your thoughts first?
I'm honored. Thank you. So geek culture to me is just something that I've always grown up with and didn't know it was called geek culture until I met other, I guess, geeks in the world. For me, it's like watching animes, reading mangas, playing video games, and just having comic books, just that space where it's the most creative I've ever seen somebody be in. And I don't know, like for me, I'm bigger into like the animes and the video game parts. I will try to get into comic books. I promise people I will. But I'm gonna stick to the anime and the video games on that part. But just seeing how we start off so small with Girls Can't Geek and then seeing other people like, hey, I'm into that too. And now, you know, we have a big family pretty much. It's amazing. I'm here for it. I love seeing that there's the secret geeks out there, you know, that are like, don't tell anybody, but I like Naruto too. And you're like, what? Come on over. And then they just blossom into something bigger. So that's what it is to me.
Awesome.
Oh, I love that.
How about you, Bunny?
I'm so glad you asked. Up until I want to say when the original, Marvel MCU films started to come out, I'd always spent a lot of my time convincing my girlfriends and guy friends, pick up some comic books. I'm really into DC on literature in the books. And I'm a huge fan of the MCU when it comes to cinematography. I'm a fan of Marvel in literature as well. I just found that the fact that I grew up in a different time, I was born and raised in New York, you know what I'm saying? All of the things that I was reading about in these comic books were very close to home to me. So much like Trin mentioned, I had no clue that I was even qualifying to be a nerd, or the word blurred, Black nerd, hadn't even been introduced to my vocabulary. And I'm addicted to the written word, right? So for me, blurred, nerd, geek culture, fandom, and things of that nature, they all take this shape where it means to me just a very comfortable space, so comfortable in that space that we barely even realize that we're within it. It's such a part of us as fans, us as nerds and blurs and geek girls and guys and everything in between. It's such a part of us that when I'm asked what does nerd or blurred culture mean to me, geek culture is just a culture that is so innate to us that it takes for us to have to pick up our heads and look around and even realize that it's a thing.
That's a really good answer. I didn't realize I was a nerd until she's like, "No, you are." It's like, I just wanted to love Sailor Moon. It's fine.
Yeah, that was a really common in our that was really common in our high school experience, because we had like a group of friends who were very into anime and manga and video games. And then not to get too much into our high school politics, but like Mary wasn't as much a part of that. So she felt, I'm speaking for you.
I didn't get to participate. They weren't like, "Here, play this game." And I was like,
I think because Mary played sports, but Mary was also the person who introduced me to Sailor Moon, like
saved your life.
exactly. So like, I think a lot of times it can feel as though you're not part of it if you don't know everything, but you still are part of it. Like you still get to claim that identity, even though it may feel like you don't get to. Avalon, I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Yes, but I've gotten so into those answers that if you could remind me of the actual question.
What is geek culture to you, and why talk about it?
Absolutely. I think geek culture, the evolution of it has been very interesting to me, because my recollection growing up is that the idea of geek culture was that it was something very fringe, or something that potentially, depending on your school, you're going to be ostracized for. Like, maybe you're in the closet about some things you like, maybe other things are more okay. And now I just feel like it's so ubiquitous that I almost don't even know if it's worth naming sometimes. But I might also just be so like into that world that maybe I'm just not meeting people who aren't geeks anymore. If so, that's awesome. But it means a lot to me. To me, it was like the opportunity to extend and perpetuate any sense of imagination and curiosity that you have as a kid, and to extend that well into your adult life, through the things you consume, through the things that you really delve into. So I think it's really healing in that way and really invigorating.
Nice. Awesome. And how about you, Diana?
So I think that everyone is a nerd. I think everyone's a nerd. I think that the weird like fringe definitions we give to it are maybe a little bit nonsense, but you can't tell me that like the 40-year-old guy who has the career of 28 strangers stats memorized for their baseball career or whatever is not a nerd. Like that guy who knows, how many baseballs one man has hit, like he's a nerd too. But I think like whatever our interests are, as soon as we reach out and connect to another person about it and decide that we're similar and we get along because of it, then all of a sudden we've created a culture like around it. And for me, it's important to me personally because when I was young, like I was always interested in all these things. And I was very much like given the signals very early on that I wasn't invited to be like in like the club about it. Like, and so when we first started our podcast, like, and I started posting things online being like, hey, we're girls and we're talking about geek stuff, and people started responding to that. That was a big signal that like, oh, there are other people with these experiences, and we're now reaching out to each other and knitting together, and that changed it for me. So yeah.
I feel like when we first started, we were like at Emerald City Comic Con, we'd find people like women who are doing podcasting. We're like, oh, we got to go talk to them, because they were like, they're the only ones we've seen. But as we've gone through the years, there's just been tons where we don't feel like we have to make that connection to be like, okay, let's know each other, exist and work together. I don't feel that need as much anymore, because there's so many that would be really difficult. So it's cool that as we go, the idea of Geek is expanded and has been put in a place where it feels okay to say that without being intimidated or scared.
Yeah, I think that's really wonderful to see so much growth in podcasting among people of marginalized genders and other axes of marginalization as well. It's just really wonderful that this is no longer such a small niche. It's grown a whole lot, and I think that makes things better for everybody. So I'm a big fan personally.
Yeah, I agree.
So my next question for everybody is, has talking about geek culture, like in a podcast space, changed your views on geek culture? Has it impacted your relationship with geek culture in any way? Diana, I saw you nodding. So
oh,
you're
yeah.
the
Yeah.
sacrificial lamb.
So many changes. One, like, we've been podcasting for 3 years, and like with any good like feminist or any other thing, like over those 3 years, like my feminism has become more radical, my intersectionality has become more like important, like just putting yourself out there to like talk about things, and then getting feedback from people and like hearing like how people engage with you. Like my opinions on my own like my own belief systems have evolved over that time. My relationship to the word femme has evolved over that time, I think like, when we started it, it was just like, it felt so important to just make space for women to talk about geek culture. But like my priorities and like the things I care about has evolved so much more beyond that, like, into different intersectionalities of people who are left out of the conversation has started to matter way more. So I just think that when you put your ideas out into the world, like some of the criticism you get is unfair, like from men who don't want to hear what you have to say. But some of it is very legitimate, and like some of it does make you question yourself and evolve your worldviews and confront like things. And I think that I've it's only grown and become better and more evolved over the last couple of years. And I just feel like I hope I keep evolving. I hope I keep like, questioning my own beliefs, and it's really great.
Awesome. How about you, SD Trinity?
Can you repeat that? Because I was like, yes, everything. I was like, wait, hold on.
No problem. Has talking about geek culture changed your views on geek culture at all? And if has like your relationship with it evolved as a result of, podcasting about geek culture, or even just being more aware of this as a space?
Yes. Just like a little background. I found Girls Can Geek following Bunny, and she's like, come into this world with me. And then I became the person that would share the memes and stuff on Instagram. And I just shared them because I found them funny. They meant something to me. And I'm like, if I like it, I know one other person's gonna like it. And then it just blew up from there. But then once we had all these people following and commenting and hitting up our inboxes and stuff, we were talking and we're like, hey, they want to talk with us. Like, what do we do? And Bunny's like, let's just do a podcast. Let's just get this really like popping, going, do what we need to do, because we can only answer so many inbox questions, But also with us going towards not only the memes and the questions that I'm asking and stuff like that on the page, now we're able to open up and speak honestly from our own hearts and our own minds without interruptions, without gatekeeping, especially without gatekeeping. Because I could sit here and someone's going to get mad right now. I could sit here and say Sailor Moon can beat up Goku, and then someone's going to be like, no, and I'd be like, no, I'm not here for it. You guys can listen to the podcast and then comment afterwards and tell me how you feel about it. But it's not going to stop me, or you're not going to put me down because of what I think or what I believe in when it comes to what I feel is like important to me in the geek culture world. So I feel like it's opened our voices a lot more, has brought us closer to people that I never would have imagined meeting or talking with. And then on top of that, people are like, hey, can I come on your next podcast? I want to talk about what you said last episode or whatever. And then it opens up even a bigger family tree of geeks. So yeah, that's what it's done for me with this podcast. And honestly, I'm just gonna give it a little shout out. Thank you, Bunny.
I just want to say briefly, you really do. Girls Can Geek truly does have just a stellar collection of memes, like just mind-blowing collection of memes.
I am just your humble meme farmer is what I claim. I just want to bring joy or some conversation out there for people. And sometimes I just like to post stuff just to see who would get like irritated about it. Like I said, Goku fans, I love you guys. I love Goku too, but sometimes you guys take it a little too far. But I like to see that because then it gives us talking, like really talking about what's going on. And then at the end of the day, we're like, oh, we're all family. It's all good. And then we're happy. So
awesome. Did you want to add to that, Bunny?
Yeah. The intention was always for us to fuel and beg the question. Are girls, in fact, meant to be gatekept, or are they meant to evolve and to push the envelope? Really, with Girls Can't Geek and the way that it's changed, I feel like the dynamic in podcasting in general, right, is because since 2016, we've blossomed, like SD Trinity mentioned, but prior to that, it feels similar to what Melissa was saying. And also, what I'm hearing from Diana as well, we wanted to meet every single one of the respective variants of us because we were just like, there's nothing like this, but there's so much that's begging to be said. There is so much that we deserve to be able to bring, to the forefront in terms of media. How it's changed for me, it's changed the way that the public views me. I fell into the category of that it girl, right? The sex symbol, if you will, the IG big booty girl. While these are things that fall under my attributes, one of the main things that a lot of my management or production or anybody that was on my team, even my fire team or my clan, when I'm online gaming, they would always say, you help us so much. There's so many times that you've talked us either off a ledge or you've just cheered us up with some real dead ass story that happened to you. I've got tons of them. And one of the things that they would say to me all the time when I'm online, when I'm, gameplay in the chat, they'd just be like, there's so much that the world could benefit from if girls like you. They'd always say girls like you. And I'm, you mean, right? Like, girls like me, there's a bunch of us. Most girls are like me. We're very versatile. Whether you were born with a vag or you were not born with a vag, girls are versatile, let me tell you. And so I wanted to show people that not only are we the queens of the meme in blurred culture and nerd culture alike, but I also wanted to show the world that a girl with an accent from the left side of an island has every bit of the right to be on the airwaves broadcasting her shit as much as the rest of us, guys, girls, and anything in between.
Love that.
I want to recognize how when you made that point about how, like, literally it's not weird for a girl to be into this stuff. everybody had the same reaction. Like the entire Zoom call was like,
Yes, yes, we're all feeling it. Yes. Avalon, did you have anything to say on the topic?
I mean, nothing that touches that, to be honest with you. I feel like this is free therapy for me today. You know, if anything, just allowing myself to take up space with the podcast was a great opportunity for me to allow myself to say out loud, I like this thing, I'm passionate about this thing, but I don't have it memorized, and that's okay. Like, I am not a factoids person, and it has always been like, you know, I can't say I'm a blank fan because, like, I don't remember what year the director was born. And so, like, it's been great to be on the podcast and be like, you know, fuck it. I'm going to talk about something for 90 minutes because I like it, and I'm going to get it kind of wrong. And it doesn't mean you like it more than me. So
It's true. This is true. This is true.
Do you have any thoughts, Mary?
Yeah, I forget everything, so I can't be an expert on anything. Missy's a Shrek expert, but
Oh, wow. I'm so glad we brought that up.
Missy learned everything about Shrek when we did our Shrek episode.
Yeah, we have a Shrek episode.
Yeah, she's a Shrek expert.
I'm a Shrek expert.
that sounds like a sex thing to
I
me.
am
I'm
in
sorry.
awe. I'm sitting here like, Yona? Yes. I'm a fan.
It was a good episode.
Yeah, I was really, really pleased with the amount of academic scholarship that exists on the movie
whole
Shrek.
book.
There's a whole book, like
legitimately.
it's out there.
That does not shock me, but I still love it. I love
great.
it so much.
I've read, this podcast has led me to read books on the OC,
Perfect show.
Shrek. There are so many books on Twilight.
You said one of my trigger words. I will will go off for hours about the OC. Yeah.
Bless. We are among our people here.
Oh, good.
I've just finished watching it for the 4th time.
Wow. Binge watch. I feel a binge watch coming on because I have yet to see the OC.
I haven't either.
But I used to date this guy that was such a geek for the OC. It was hilarious. He would only watch CNN, C-SPAN, and then that was his junk food for his brain.
Yeah. Men who love the OC is a thing that I want to research because I was introduced to the OC by a man who I know so many men who love that show. It's a thing.
It's so good.
So good.
It's terrible sometimes, but it's also incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, supremely terrible. But it does have Peter Gallagher punching Hercules in the face.
Yeah,
that is one thing.
Incredible. Flawless.
I just love Sandy Cohen. I've gone from like being a kid and be like, I love Seth, to being like, Seth, you're a little shit, but your dad.
Do you say Hercules as in Gallagher punches Kevin Sorbo?
Yes. Gallagher punches Kevin Sorbo in the face.
That's it. I'm sold. That's it. No. Binge watch party.
It's on HBO Max.
It's so good.
So good. Anyways, this is not this.
Sorry.
No, we can talk about it forever.
When you find somebody who loves the OC, you have to indulge it.
We've had the Gilmore Girls revival. We've had the Gossip Girl revival. Where's my OC revival?
That's a good question.
You should be listening to Welcome to the OC Bitches.
Yes.
Host. Yeah. It's by Melinda Clark and
Rachel Bilson.
Rachel Bilson, thank you. Rewatching and doing their commentary on it. It's great.
I do need to watch that. I haven't watched it yet. I've watched clips from it though. The good clips.
Good. So what both Girls Can't Geek and Femsplained, you both do this really great job of talking about very serious stuff alongside your humor and passion. And I wonder, like, when you're getting into the conversation, when you're starting your episode, do you aim to strike that balance, or is that just like a natural byproduct of how you have conversations? Let's go with Avalon. I went with you last time.
I will tell you, we put zero preparation into our podcast, so it is all organic.
Nice.
We show up that day to talk about a thing, and we realize that we don't make time for each other as friends, except when we're recording because we're so busy. So like the shit just comes out. It just turns into, oops, I forgot we were recording hanging out today.
Avalon asked me to be a bridesmaid in her wedding on the podcast, like in the middle of an episode. It was like, by the way.
Did I?
Yes.
Okay. Well.
Love it.
So
what were we talking about? Do you remember?
I'm pretty sure we were talking about Dragon Age.
Good.
I feel like, yeah.
Sounds
So
right.
So I'm very happy to hear that like that balance is coming through, because it's probably not the intention. A lot of oversharing happens when I just black out and forget I'm being recorded.
That happens to me.
Yeah.
That's podcasting, baby. Bunny, tell me a little bit about, do you plan that, or is just off the cuff, serious, funny, passion, all that?
Yo, Melissa, Mary, I love y'all, dead ass. But I'm gonna start this off with saying I say bitch with love. Bitch. Bitches. All of y'all. Let me tell y'all how I swear to my mother, I structure everything, synopsises all around. Everyone gets an email with the Zoom invite, much like the way that you beautiful ladies were able to, provide us with the strategic bullet numbering and the subcontext. Bitch. Then my dumb ass gets on the mic and we start like, hey guys, with the YouTube voices, right? How are you doing? It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. How are you? You're great. And let me introduce you to my co-host. And then Trin does the thing.
And I'm like, hey girl, hey, it's your girl Trin. Welcome to, not SC Trinity.
And then that's it. That's it. I have to be like, yo, check the chat. Every time the chat, I swear to you, it's always like, yo, we're at 2 hours. This is what we're gonna do, right? I tell them, this is what we're gonna do. You're gonna let so-and-so go, so-and-so is gonna go, and then we're gonna segue 20 minutes later. Listen, I gotta cook. I'm gonna just be off cam, and it's happened. Trin, I'm like, I'm just gonna be off cam. The logo will be there. It's gonna look beautiful. You're doing amazing, sweetie. I gotta cook. Be back. Bye-bye. So for all intents and purposes, I do really try. I do. And Avalon's right. I just be sharing.
Yeah.
Everybody knows my business. A lot.
Yeah.
But just
sometimes too much.
Yeah. Just that part.
Just the freak of nature.
Literally the outline, she reads it word for word. That's how much she's
like dirty secrets.
She does so much research though. So much research. Like so much. Like subscription to JSTOR.
No, I don't have a subscription.
Seriously?
You get 100 free articles right now. 100 free articles. Let me just tell you, if you're a JSTOR freak, 100 free articles right now.
Freak for JSTOR.
I'm a freak for JSTOR. Anyway,
that's like something I would bring up, because for those that have listened to our podcast, I'm like, also, if you need to save some money or you need some free stuff or whatever, hit me up. I will find it for you. Go here, do this. And then I'll get a DM in my on Instagram like, hey, you saved me like $10 at like Walgreens for photos. I'm like,
yeah. She's definitely the frugal Fran. She's the frugal Fran meme queen. And then we got a Mrs. Frizzle kind of vibe. So we've always got somebody that like brings it back around, fun, scientifical. I know that's not a word. And then fun, economical. And it works itself out. I think what every great podcast requires is balance in the energy, right? The intention that drives the podcast to the listener. Whoever needs to listen to the podcast shall. And that's more, it says more about the intention, right? When you fall on the proper ears and people do want to hear, femsplained gushing about, we're talking about Dragon Age. You know what? I want to get married. Or, they're listening to us, talk about our figs and our action figures. And then we break out the satchel full of dildos. I don't know if I can say that, but it's 5 o'clock somewhere. And so I think it's the honesty that is behind our podcast, and it pushes, that intention pushes through, and that's how you fall in the right ears and you stick around as long as we all have.
That's awesome. That's a good conversation.
I think that's something that both of your podcasts really excel at, is that sense of authenticity that I think probably, and I can't speak for everybody, but I think that stems from you having just genuine, honest conversations that other people get to listen in on. And I think that's really valuable. Trinity, do you have anything to add to the question of like, do you aim to strike this balance, or is it just natural?
So just like Bunny said, like we do have like what we want to go through, but sometimes one topic just takes us through the whole podcast, and we're like, okay, so next podcast we got to do a part 2 to cover what we wanted to say in the first one. But I think it's just also because of the pandemic and stuff, like we don't see each other. Also, we're in 2 totally different states, and this is where we actually get to talk outside of our Discord and our watch parties that we have. So then we're like playing catch up, like, oh, did you know this and this is happening? You know, the kids are doing this, or work was like this, or internet is crappy right now. I told you guys about that already, you know, but somehow it still can it's thrown into what we're talking about and then smoothly put back on track at some point. I will say this, I don't know if Bunny notices this, I'm pretty sure you do, but when we are talking and I can see that it's starting to go like super, super left, I'm like, yep, you're right. But what about this? And it's not to cut anybody off. I can just tell that it's going to be like a 3-hour, 4-hour session that's going to be broken up into like 4 different episodes when we can just like kind of guide it. But sometimes you can't help it because you're around friends, you're around family. Like the people on Girls Can't Geek, those are my family at this point. Those are my brothers and my sisters and everybody in between. You guys are family. So I understand. It's like a family reunion, which is how I feel like it should. I don't like to do a podcast where it's like, okay, okay, number 4, and then like you can feel there's no genuine like joy or love behind it. I don't know. That's just how I feel about it, though.
Awesome. And how about you, Diana?
I'm sorry, that last thing you just said reminded me of our first episode of the podcast. Where it was like before we like had our flow and like our chemistry, it was like question, answer. like we were very rigid.
Yeah.
But I think from my perspective, one, I seconding what Avalon said, and Trinity, you said this too. A lot of this is just our time to hang out too. So like stuff comes up for that reason.
We're also remote.
Yeah. Opposite sides of the country. I'm also in New York. But the other thing that happens is that because we're talking about nerd culture and because both of us have had some not great experiences in the past with nerd culture, like talking about certain topics just naturally leads you to some of the stories of some of the things that have happened that were not so great. And we go ahead and voice that and say that, and then we'll go back to the topic. But I feel like it would be dishonest for us to skip over like those not great parts, and just focus on all the good, so we do that.
Awesome.
I think it's really easy to like overshare those like darker parts because it's just you and your friend talking, and then sometimes I have to think, so maybe we don't put that on the podcast. Maybe we just take that part out.
Mary, you're reading my life.
I'm like, that was a little too deep for me.
I think we have to like cut out the shit talking sometimes when we remember our, like people we actually know listen to it. Like maybe we'll like not include that person's last name.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mary, you're just so spot on. Avalon, one time I was sitting at the end of the episode asking Trin, I'm like, yo, Trin, I'm polyam. So I'm like, I didn't get a chance to tell my metamors about the new guy, but I said it on the podcast and the podcast comes out tomorrow. What should I do? Literally editing it. I'm like, shoot, I'm gonna have to tell him. So I gotta get on the phone and say, hey, listen, so just so we're clear, remember when I flew back in March and I told you things were just, changing, and so got a new metamer and his name is wah, 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 wah. And then episodes out, can nobody tell me nothing?
Yeah.
There's a tendency, especially like when you're, for us at least, when you're talking about media that's really meaningful. I mean, we did an episode on the game Night in the Woods. Both of us are just full on crying during the episode. We're just full on, we can't stop crying while we're talking about it. Because we're talking about our friendship. We're talking about, you know, real issues that impact the world. And I think that as much as I would like to, you know, be structured and have, you know, control over the direction of the conversation, it makes for a better podcast when we have those moments of, well, I guess we're both just crying now.
It's therapy now.
Yeah, there's our therapy session, you know.
It's fine.
Yeah, I think that's valuable, and I think that's valuable for listeners as well, even though it can be intimidating to share.
Yeah.
Especially in light of, I mean, because there's like super professional podcasts where the host is essentially just like delivering news, for example. And then there's stuff that like we do, which is, you know, like real conversation and very honest. And that could be scary.
Yeah.
But also, so I think it's really validating for the people hosting the podcast as well as the listeners to know that somebody else out there, you know, feels the same way that you do. Let's see, what is my next question? Oh, why choose podcasting over another medium? Like, why podcasting as opposed to video, as opposed to writing? And did you start off your podcast with the intent that it would be a geek culture podcast? Or was it just like, my interests are geek culture and therefore my podcast is geek culture? Let's start with Trinity on this one.
Where do I start? I don't know. I want to say like how Bunny and I, we've had this conversation because of course people were always commenting and questioning and inboxing and DMs and everything saying, talk about this or share a meme about this, or what do you feel about this? I feel like it naturally just came to us because we were already talking about it. We would go live on Instagram and talk about it there. But of course, not everybody can be off of work to listen or at their desk and listen on live. You know, some jobs you can't even have your phone out. So there was people missing that for what we were talking about. So it just seemed like a natural thing just to be like, hey, podcast it up. Let's do it. We got the little like our pictures and everything. And of course, what we're going to discuss, or even sometimes just a meme that I post is like, we should talk about that. Okay, let's talk about it. And then just go from there type of thing. I think it was just time coming that it was going to happen. Also, I find that a lot of people, especially with the pandemic recently, everybody's at home or, you know, whatever it is, working from home or driving on the way to work. They'll listen. They have nothing better to do. So why not listen to something that they're interested in? So if it's what we're talking about geek related, awesome. Sometimes we talk about just real life stuff, but that also works with geek related stuff. It works hand in hand. And
particularly the times when you feel like I was wondering during the beginning of this whole entire panorama, right? I was wondering with trends, sitting to myself saying, okay, of all the mediums, right, that we've got the YouTubers, we've got, you know, like she mentioned, Instagram Live. Within the structure of podcasting, we found that we could be able to, according to the media before the panorama, it was the only way that you could really be in the same room without being in the same room. I am all over the place. I mean, right now I'm in Texas, but on Friday I'll be in Atlanta, and then a couple of Fridays after that I'll be in New York. You know, a couple of Fridays after that I'm going to be in London. So I needed to make sure that for all intents and purposes there was no way that I would be hindered from being able to speak to our fans, our supporters, who indeed were having to be essential workers or turning into remote learning instructors, right? And even taking classes themselves. You know, we helped some people with their Spanish classes. You know, we helped some people with their history or their Korean, and all over the world we were seeing people trying to find a way to be together. And the way that they were doing that was doing it virtually. And so it's the best medium because you can hop on a Zoom, you can hop on a Discord, and just be, or a vmix, and record an entire piece of something, whether it's structured or not, and have it live somewhere for someone to access any time of the day, any time zone of the globe, and still walk away feeling like they're in tune and up to date with what we've got to say.
Awesome. I think that idea of closeness, even through distance, is really applicable to podcasting, because so much of it, like, you feel like you're listening in on a friend's conversation. And I know, like, a lot of people talk about the negatives of parasocial relationships, but I also think that can be really beneficial to have people that you can listen to and feel affirmed by. Yeah. Diana, how about you? Why podcasting?
Yeah. For Trinity, do you know that meme that's like it's like me listening to podcasts, and it's a guy like cracking up next to like a poster, the ice cream truck. Yeah. Like that's what I think of. Like I love I like podcasting for a couple of reasons. First, I think both of our duos are in the same boat. Is that, like, now everybody's recording remote, but like we were doing it before it was popular to record remote. We've been doing that a while, you know, and it started as a way just for us to keep, you know, to have a reason to keep in touch on a regular basis, and to make sure we were connecting with each other on a regular basis. But also in terms of just what kind of media it is, it's one of the more accessible, like forms of media. Like, people can listen to a podcast wherever they want. They can listen to it with subtitles on YouTube. They can listen to it in their car or on the subway. They can listen to it, like, you know, before bed, or like while they're cooking, or like whatever. It's like, you don't have to be tied to any one location to listen to it, or to watch it. And also, the podcasting community, I know that, like, now every, you know, A-list celebrity has a podcast too, or whatever. But I do feel like, at least when we started, it was very much a like indie, like, community of people just like starting up their own sub communities and things like that. And I really loved that. So I just think that there were a lot of ways you could go with it, but this just felt like the coziest way.
And the anarchy, right, Diana?
Yeah. Yes.
The anarchy of it all, the ability to say, I don't care if I drop the F-bomb.
Oh, yes.
I don't care.
Yes.
Like, it's my show, right? So it's
yes, like 1,000%.
It feels different. Whereas if you have to get up and speak in public, I remember I had to speak in public for the Madden Super Bowl earlier this year. You know, the NFL Madden games, every year they have a Super Bowl along with Super Bowl Sunday, and I had to make sure that I got clearance to say things. But, you know, that's when you get into checks. And
that is true.
More recently, you know, I had someone on our show, and they asked us, can we? And it felt great for somebody to ask, and me to say, it's our show. Like, yeah. And so the ownership and the ability, that radical, you know, ability to just speak our minds on the podcast medium, I feel like that brings Girls Can't Geek and Femsplain so much more liberty and freedom to be successful, because success is really what you define it, right? And for a long time, I was afraid that I couldn't speak the way that I wanted to, and I couldn't flat out share with my public what goes on in the blurred nerd gamer community from my own language, you know? And I'm always gonna be a little bit of an anarchist, just like you, Diana. I'm always gonna wanna fight the system. So if anything, that's my final answer. Mary, Melissa, deadass, it's the radical anarchy part for me.
Love it. Good. I think we're just about ready to wrap up. Avalon, did you have anything you wanted to add to the question about podcasting?
I mean, just it's convenient for us being across the country. I like that I can record a whole episode without putting makeup on. there's like no comment section really on podcasts. So like if people don't like it, you don't really have to hear about it.
Love that.
And like I don't have to worry about what kind of fucking weird ad's gonna get slapped in front of it by, you know, YouTube. So
Yeah.
it's great. I feel like you have power over it, and yeah. But I think that there's a fun announcement happening.
Yeah. So apparently we broke the $1,000 donations to Trevor Project during the panel. So thank you so much to everybody who donated. That's wonderful. That's so exciting. Thank you so much.
Can I say something really quick?
Please do.
For people that don't know, I got these nails. These nails means money. Okay. Thank you guys. All the donations for everybody out there. This is for you.
That's so satisfying.
Really, yeah, it's a really satisfying sound.
This is now an ASMR pod.
Yeah, please, more of that.
Very, very good. Very, very good.
So we have about 15 minutes left. Is there anything else anybody wants to talk about? I'll turn the floor over to anybody else if you've got questions or topics or things you want to revisit. Or if anybody in the chat has questions.
Or don't worry, Missy has like 17
Don't worry,
questions.
I have like 8 more questions.
You've had amazing questions.
Yeah, these questions have been really great and thought-provoking and wonderful. I just want to say that, like, you know, I am overwhelmed by how awesome everybody is. And like, I just feel like it's so wild how, like, you know, you can like think back to feeling like kind of alone in the nerd community at one point, and then to like be sitting here and being like, holy cow, I'm looking at 2 other groups of you know, of like nerd femme people who are absolutely blowing my mind right now and like make me feel like overwhelmed with love. And so I'm just like, really, I don't know, I think it's really cool that we get to come together like this. So thank you.
I think just one thing to piggyback off of that, one thing that has always really amazed me about any kind of indie creative space, because I run a site called sidequest.zone, which is a gaming site, and you in you know, more commercial spaces, there's a lot of competitiveness between outlets, and I never feel that in indie spaces. I think that when I participate in indie spaces, I feel validated, I feel welcomed, and even if we disagree about things, there's still this wonderful sense of us still being part of a community and affirming one another. And I love that. I love this space in particular. I love the conversations that we're having as sort of a microcosm of that larger experience of being people who create things out of love and build their communities off of that.
Yeah.
I have literally never thought about that before. I have never felt competitive about another nerd femme podcast.
When we first started, I remember starting up our Instagram and like trying to find other podcasts like to follow or to, you know, reach out to, and at no point was I ever like, fuck, there's another couple of girls. Like it was just always like,
oh
yeah,
my God,
awesome.
Yeah. That's so, I love that you pointed that out.
Yeah, that's actually how I found Bunny. Was when did we start? It's been a while. It's been like well over 5-6 years, I want to say. We've known each other for a while, but
a lot.
Black gamer girl, and you know how like on Instagram it says less than 100 like posts or whatever. So I was like clicking on everything. I'm like, oh, I gotta find somebody, and then I found her, and then of course then it led me to Girls Can Geek, and then I got brought on part of the family, and then from there, like I said, the memes, and then from there was the podcast, and then from there we went to Discord because we wanted to bring everybody in as much as possible. And then we're like, what are we going to do on Discord now that we have it? And it's like, let's do watch parties. Let's watch animes. Let's watch people play video games. Let's
OC now.
Yes. Yes.
And it's great. And everybody's like, oh, I want to join, but I don't know if I know enough. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't need to know everything. If you enjoy watching this show, this anime, reading this manga, playing this video game, and you personally enjoy it, welcome aboard. I'm not going to sit here and be like, you don't know enough about Sailor Moon. Tell me how many strands of hair she has in each bun. I'm not going to sit here and do that. That just doesn't make sense. We want to be a family. We don't want to divide. We want to come together. So now in
That's the best
Discord,
way.
Fridays and Sundays, well, it's almost every day now, but we'll sit here and watch and then we'll talk about it. And then even the newcomers are like just hiding. I'm like, you guys can talk if you want. If you don't, that's fine. Just whenever you feel better. And the next week they're into it and we're just all talking and stuff like that. So it's a beautiful thing.
It's a lot that goes on. And a lot of the time it's one of the reasons why we feel so blessed. Like super blessed, because the community that we have is also a community that supports us. They'll raid the Twitch, they'll raid your friend's Twitch. We have announcements whenever anybody's going on Twitch so that you can be able to make affiliate or make partner, whatever your goals are. Essentially, there will be something within our server that allows for you to be able to blossom, because maybe you're not into podcasting. Maybe you need to ease into something else. And so we designed it so that no matter what it is that you are passionate about, you're able to access that, not just the resources, but also have people that love you and that support you at the ready. I remember when you guys reached out and asked for us to be a part of this lovely virtual convention, the first thing I said to myself, I hit Trin up immediately, like, listen, it's for the Trevor Project. We're doing this. And we speak about mental health and challenges and treatment and goals within the spectrum of, each person's journey, their spectrum of going back to, alignment and finding your way. There have been a number of episodes that we've done with our community within the Discord that's jumped on and been guest hosts with us, right? And we've pulled apart the idea of, and expanded on the idea of what is it really that we need to get at the core of in humanity and get more of. And we just feel like within our community and everyone else's outside of the Girls Can't Geek podcast and Discord, it's a sense of making sure if someone does not have to die, they shouldn't. If we can save ourselves the trouble of grieving from someone's loss, right, within the community of the geek space, why not save ourselves, all of ourselves, the trouble, and just be a little more open, be a little more accepting, and just don't judge so quickly. We do have douchebags every now and then. I'm not gonna lie, but there's a strong intention behind deciding if you want to be able to give someone a hand and assist them through their douchebaggery, or not, but at least give them the chance to show themselves. And I'm very happy that we were approached to do this with you guys. I get to meet my friends at Femsplained, my new bitches. And I get to watch the OC, and so
Yeah.
I'm very happy that we were all brought together, because the Trevor Project is just something that I cannot believe we broke. How much? What were the donations?
We broke 1,000, right? We
Yeah.
were at 1,024.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's crazy.
Yeah. I think that exactly what Bunny said is an answer to the question that we got from Green Merdragon. Like, what do you want young nerds to know? What was the question? What do you want young nerds?
You got it?
Yeah, I found it.
Okay.
What do you want young nerds, especially those with marginalized identities, to know about being a proud and loud nerd? I think Bunny said it. It's that as soon as you are loud about who you are, you find that's when the others like come out of the woodwork to make you less alone. Like they seek you out, like Trinity found Bunny, and like how we found now each other, like these like 3 podcasts and Behold Her and that network, and like all of them like kind of coming together. I think that that's the answer. That Bunny pretty much summed it up.
Yeah, I think it's important to know that no matter what your situation is, your voice is valuable. Your contribution is worthy. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are, what your personal identity is. Like you have a voice and it's valuable.
I like the idea of being able to be loud, because I can be a loud person and I can be a lot for people sometimes. And like sometimes it makes me feel like I need to like cool it down, but I don't want to sometimes. I really love the OC and I'll keep talking about it forever. And that's fine.
We're all gonna have a follow-up.
I can do that. But sometimes I don't always feel like I can, especially like in non-geek spaces. I sometimes get looked at like, you talk too long, and I kind of feel like, yeah, I sure have, and you're gonna keep listening because I'm right.
Well, and I think to the question too, when you're talking about young nerds, I mean, sometimes as a young person, you don't have like the power to control who's around you, and like maybe you are loud and proud and passionate about something, and everybody around you just wants to put, you know, a bucket on that. Like, obviously, fuck them, but like, look for your tribe, find your tribe. Maybe they're not the people who are around you in your homeroom, but like that doesn't mean you need to change what you're passionate about. It just means you need to find the people that match your passion.
See,
I didn't
and with
even know
the-
there was an OC trend. We could trend.
I didn't know. Actually, funny thing, just going off of what Avalon was saying though, if you want, for anybody that's out there listening or watching, whatever it is, you're like, hey, I want to get into this space. It's not necessarily like I want to hang out with you guys, but can you help me direct me to somebody? We can. Like I'm pretty sure we all have connections to different people, different groups that we can get you into your niche that you want. So if you don't want to hear me bash Goku and say Sailor Moon can beat him and everything, I can find you that Goku space and then we'll just throw you over there. You can't be with us because we're our arms wide open.
Because you're wrong.
But make shirts. Sailor Moon can beat Goku. Don't at me.
But super side note, because you mentioned Shrek. I don't know if anybody knows this. You guys know this because you got your Shrek like professors at this point. But the mama bear, it shows them capture the papa bear and the mama bear, and then the baby bear's in like a separate little cave.
Oh yeah.
Papa bear and baby bear are still around at the fire camp, but mama bear is nowhere to be found. It goes in Lord Farquaad's room. She's now with Nat. So if you guys look back at the movie, you'll see it. I saw it and I was like, oh wow, that's deep. Now I'm like, I need to watch it. So there's that.
Wow.
He's a truly horrifying villain. Like just
Farquaad.
truly. Yeah.
Just like Disney.
This is a Farquaad negative zone.
Yeah.
Even if I almost have the same haircut, it's a Farquaad negative zone.
Gatekeep Farquaad from this.
Yes.
Space.
No Farquaads allowed.
Yeah.
Also goes on a shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gatekeep Farquaad.
Gatekeep him. Don't gatekeep us. It's so rewarding. I remember one time, I mean, now that I know the OC, it's got its own fandom, geekdom situation, Gossip Girl, all of that. You know, it'd be crazy. Before we go, I gotta tell y'all, I found my like fairy kind of like community on the explore page, because you know Instagram, the AIs, they be looking, know what you're doing when you're not on the gram. So I was on the gram in the explore page, and I'm like, this is one of my favorite go-to junk food movies, but why are scenes always coming up? It's the Cinderella film Ever After with Angelica Houston and what's her name?
Drew Barrymore.
Drew Barrymore.
So
Drew
good.
Barrymore.
Beautiful.
And I literally, that's like the movie when, you know, I tell my fans and my listeners, I say, when you can't cry, you can't get it out, get that one movie, baby, pop that in or cue that up and just loop it and watch it over and over. And Ever After, the Cinderella story with Angelica Houston and Drew Barrymore in it, I literally can just watch that on cue, on repeat, or the last part of the trilogy, Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Anakin, you're going down a path I cannot follow. So I tell everybody, I didn't know that was a geekdom. There's a whole slew of pages dedicated to quotes from Ever After.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I shall go down in history as the man who opened a door. I love that movie.
You see?
All
You're
through
my
college, I
Yeah.
watched that a lot.
Mhm.
Lived with Missy, and I think that she knows it all without having seen it.
I don't think I've ever really watched
I
it.
watched that and like Romeo and Juliet.
Oh.
Oh,
Leo DiCaprio,
Yeah,
Romeo and
Romeo
Juliet.
and Juliet.
DiCaprio's version.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
so
how geekdom. It's a whole fandom.
So good.
I'm
Yeah.
so sorry to cut this off because I love it so much, but we are at 15 minutes.
I love you all.
So yeah, this was
All
a
of
great
you.
time. Thank you so much. Let's give one last where you can find us out in the world. I'm Missy or Melissa Brinks. You can find me on Twitter at Melissa Brinks. I never tweet. I hate Twitter.
You can find me. I hate Twitter too, so I'm not even gonna do it. You can probably find it if you really want it. But Instagram, I love Instagram. Mary, so Merry, and then Merri, because my mom likes to spell things differently. So yeah, that's where you can find me, probably posting about baking.
And our podcast is Fake Geek Girls. You can find us at Fake Geek Girls _ under or between each word on Twitter, and at fakegeekgirlscast.com. Bunny, how about you?
I am BUNNYMIGHTGAMEU at Bunny Might Game You on everything. Google me, YouTube me, Spotify, Apple Music. And I have a podcast called At Girls Can't Geek. You can find that on Spotify, YouTube, everywhere you listen to your podcasts. My co-host since 2016 has been
SD Trinity, the one and only Squirtle Squad leader out there in the world. I should have brought my shades. I will next time. But of course, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. Follow me on Twitch. It's a hoot. I'm playing Dream Daddy right now, you guys. So
Yes.
Good.
You can find me everywhere. Just SD Trinity on everything.
Wonderful. How about you, Avalon?
I'm Avalon. I'm _cat attack in all of the places, most active on Twitter and Twitch. I am one half of Femsplain podcast, and I'm doing a Humblewood mini campaign right now on Critical Misses on Wednesdays, if anyone wants to check that out.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
How about you, Diana, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm Diana. I am Super Dylan everywhere on the internet. Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, but usually TikTok and Twitter are my mains. I do lots of tabletop RPG stuff. I have a Neverland inspired setting that you can play D&D in. Avalon has written a adventure for it. It is on Drive Through RPG. And I have a lot of upcoming stuff, but you can just follow me on Twitter and you will hear all about it. I never shut up.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you for participating in the panel. Thank you to everybody in the chat, and especially everybody who donated to get us over $1,000 raised for the Trevor project. My brain's gone.
What is
Luckily
brain?
the panel's over. So thanks again, everybody. It's been so wonderful to talk with you.
Thank you.